A year ago we said that there was four major challenges we had. We had supply chain challenges, we had inflation, shortage of workers, and a lack of housing for workers. Some of those are less of an issue now. Inflation is definitely still an issue, but the supply chain challenges are getting better. They're not good, but they're getting less bad. So when we were looking forward to this upcoming year, there's a lot of things that we're wanting to do. Again, there's a lot of need, but again, our priority is to focus on the needs of businesses. And again, if you talked 5 years ago and said, okay, local economic development in rural areas will be focused a lot on housing. Well, it just wasn't really relevant at that time. It is relevant today. I was at the Atlantic Economic Forum earlier this week in Antigonish, and yesterday morning at a panel, the federal minister of immigration said, the reason we have a housing challenge is we've solved another problem. We're getting people here. And Minister Balser, she said our population in Nova Scotia now is 1,050,000 people. So whenever the Ivany report was released almost a decade ago, the projection was if things didn't change, we would have peaked. We'd be heading towards 900,000 people. There would continue to be schools closed. There would continue to be cuts to services. So the problem of handling the challenges of growth, there's still problems, but there are a lot more attractive problems than handling the problems of decline and decay. Again, when we look at this region, I mentioned last year in 1921, we had 41,000 people, and we had over 8% of the province's population. Today, we have 3% of the province's population. We went down to 30,000 people in 2016. 2021, it started an upward trend. It's continuing to start an upward trend. And, we need to continue to integrate new people into our communities and into our businesses. I have talked to several businesses, larger businesses, that for the last 2 to 3 years really struggled to fill significant employment gaps. And 2 or 3 of them have said, we're fully staffed. We're getting people who've moved here from Ontario entering our workforce. We have recruited international workers. For now, it's going to change in a week's time, but for now, we are fully staffed. So that is part of the success that really, if that doesn't happen, then the viability of these businesses is questionable. And it will be easier to set up an operation in a different community, a different country, a different region with a younger workforce, with a growing population. So the fact that we have a labor force is increasing in Cumberland is a good thing. We obviously have the problem of housing. And I'm glad to tell you that in a few minutes, Mr. Lohr is going to solve all those problems for us, and we can move on. But, it's something that everyone has a part to play. Municipalities are playing their part and doing a really good job of trying to remove barriers to growth and to new housing development. They probably would all like to get a couple extra planning officers and people in that line of work to help that. But things are moving ahead. Businesses are hiring people. Businesses are taking initiative to supply that housing need and to help people settle in the community. Again, another comment that was made in this week at that forum was the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program has had the success of over 90% of the people who have come in are still in the region. 90% of people who have moved around the world to Atlantic Canada under that program are still here. Now, a large part of that is there were supports, there was responsibilities that were placed on employers to help the family settle, not just the person they employed. I remember way back whenever I started work in economic development, going to a meeting in Halifax when the provincial nominee program was first announced. At that point, Nova Scotia's retention of immigrants was 20%. So some people complain that's through some of the venues, some of the programs, there's only 70% of people staying here. Well, that's 3.5 times better than it was 20 years ago. So things are turning around. More of our youth are seeing opportunities locally. And that's one of the things that we're we're glad to be able to start again is our career fairs with our local high schools. This past spring, Pugwash and Advocate Harbor, we were able to bring employers into those communities to talk about not just the jobs they're looking to fill today, but in our business, we have accounting people, we have salespeople, we have machinists, we have all these type of openings, and our goal is to help bridge that gap so people who are growing up here will actually understand the variety of careers that they have and they don't have to move outside the region. This fall, we've already scheduled similar sessions with Oxford High School, Spring Hill High School, Amherst High School, and we want to get Parrsboro and River Hibbert in the springtime. So that is one thing that we need to continue to do, is to open people's eyes to see the careers that are here. Because the variety of careers that are here is incredible. This is a great place to live. There's great work opportunities here. And in addition to that, so we say we're in the center of the Maritimes. Within 2.5 hours, you can be 3 provincial capitals. This area has a lot to offer from a business point of view, but also from a lifestyle point of view, the outdoor recreation opportunities. So we need to continue to work towards growing our population, growing our workforce, growing our student population. And by doing that, we are going to bring stability and we are going to bring economic prosperity to this region. Again, one person's not going to do it. Everyone has to do it, from the smallest employer to the largest employer, from the educational system, from the support networks that are out there. We all have a place to play in making this a great place to live, work, and play. Is that correct, Amherst? So whenever we look here at our work with businesses, the labor force is a big part of it. But along with that, we need to look at productivity. Yes, a company maybe needs 6 more workers to do things exactly the way that they've always done them. But maybe if there's a streamlining in process, if there's an automation in even of accounting or billing or a manufacturing process, or if there's 8 steps in a process and we can reduce that to 6, that saves time, that saves work. One of the shipbuilding companies down on the French shore, down in Matagan, one of the things that they did was they organized their stock room. And the fact that the welder, the machinist, could go in and grab the part that they need and go back without spending half an hour looking for it was the equivalent of saving 1 or 2 full-time jobs. So as we improve productivity, it also allows businesses to have more profitability, which then allows them to pay more. And that is necessary too. We need to be competitive in our wage scales to keep people here. We can't just say we have a surplus of labor, so we're going to pay as little as possible and there's going to be a lineup of people at the door. That ship's passed a long time ago. So those are some of the things that we are working on, is where appropriate, make referrals to organizations that can help businesses become more productive. Or for the entrepreneur starting a business, being able to help them with a business plan, help them do their homework first so that they can make changes before they even start the business, so they're much more likely to succeed. We're happy to, again, after COVID, get back to our Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge, along with the CBDC. That's worked well. We've had 20 or 30 entrepreneurs over the years start businesses in this region. Even if some of the ones that started 4 or 5 years ago aren't in business today, they've learned skills that they're taking to their next place of employment. They understand what it's like to run a business, so they can think like a business owner when they're working for someone else. I know one of our youth, one of our first winners, he was 17, 6 years in business already. He scaled up. He was doing lawn care. Today he's doing subdivision development work in the Oxford area, as well as doing lawn care and doing a whole bunch of other things. That's the type of thing that we need in this region to help that entrepreneurial spark for people who want to go that way to be able to succeed. This organization, we've been very fortunate. We've had a strong board of directors that have provided guidance and prodding here and there when needed. And that has really helped this organization to flourish and to grow. We've had good staff. Sylvia here, if you've noticed anything on social media that we've put out, it's not me. I can guarantee you that. Sylvia has done the business spotlights and has done a lot of our communication work and is doing a very good job on that. We have part-time support. We have a gentleman hired, works part-time for the Truro-Colchester Partnership, but he works in our Business Accelerator program here. Again, we're bringing that back to a full-time position. We are in the process of going through resumes now. We're fortunate to have 35 people apply to that and some very good candidates. So that's something that you're going to see us ramp up as we go forward. Matthew Berrigan also works part-time between our office, Pictou and Truro, on helping people who are new to the area or recent graduates get networks in their local field. So it's a team effort. We would like to have 4 or 5 people working full-time. There's lots of ideas. We want to spend more time on housing. We want to spend more time helping businesses who have labor challenges, especially small businesses that don't have HR departments to work through, whether it's they need help on developing an accurate job description. There's some of that work can be done by Kanza. And if not, then we can maybe fill in some of those gaps, or maybe it's on recruitment missions. We're working closely with Labor Skills and Immigration, the provincial department. They have, they decided a couple of years ago to start recruiting across Canada to bring skilled workers, skilled tradespeople, and healthcare professionals to this area. And so they have 5 people across the province, one of which we interact with on a regular basis. And they're wanting, if they get someone from Alberta saying, I want to come back and work in Nova Scotia, I want to work as a welder, I don't have my red seal. Well, if we know of a company that's willing to hire them, that doesn't require that, we can point them in that direction. So we're wanting to grow that relationship with that department, not the Department of Economic Development, but as a key department for us to work with. So again, collaboration, teamwork. We can always do more together than trying to do it on our own. You don't have all the answers, but by getting people in the room that maybe have the answers and brainstorming things together, we can come up with a lot of our solutions. Thank you.